Hi, welcome to iClimb. My name is Jessie Hillock and I am a speech-language pathologist with area of expertise in cognition. Today we're going to be talking about the difference between normal aging and a more advanced cognitive decline and how to advocate for different services when you are at your doctor's office. So to start, a lot of people have questions about what is considered normal aging in terms of cognition and what could be more of a concern to speak to your doctor with. 50 to 80% of individuals living with Parkinson's disease experience cognitive changes. And oftentimes we are very uncomfortable and afraid to talk about cognitive changes with our family members and loved ones, and especially with our doctor. So let's talk about normal aging. So normal aging is when we have difficulty maybe finding a word. For example, like finding the remote control. We know we want to find it, but maybe we can't find the word for it. Or we might have difficulty with finding the location of an item, such as our keys or again, the remote, but we're able to backtrack those steps to find the item, so that's considered normal aging. Or maybe we're having difficulty with coming up with the name of somebody that we used to work with a long time ago, and it's not somebody that we see all the time, it's not our son or daughter or maybe grandchild, but we're having difficulty coming up with the name. That's still normal aging. Normal aging is also starting to have difficulty in maybe the processing speed of pulling up information or problem solving, or maybe a little slower to do some math problems, but you're still able to do those things. Something that is not normal aging is when we have difficulty again with the names of people who we're close with and that we see frequently. Maybe it's also that we're driving somewhere like the bank or the grocery store and we have a hard time figuring out where that frequent path is, getting to and from home. And not normal aging is also starting to have difficulty with sequencing through familiar activities, such as maybe cooking a familiar recipe or doing the taxes, or doing something that is a little bit more what we call complex problem solving. So that is considered not normal aging. So when we're starting to notice these things, what do we do? Usually we go to the doctor's office and they will ask us, how are we doing? And usually we just say we're doing fine. That's kind of the normal. And oftentimes the doctor might give us some different questionnaires, some screeners to look at our memory. Like they'll ask us who the president is, or they'll ask us to recall 3 different words, maybe 5 minutes later on in the doctor's appointment. But sometimes people with cognitive changes, they can still answer those questions. And so the doctor will just say, you're doing great, I'll see you back, in 6 months, or I'll see you back in a year. But what I recommend doing is if you're having these difficulties with problem solving, with word recall, with finding, familiar items with sequencing, then I recommend that you've written down in a notebook the different things that you're having challenges with. And oftentimes, the one living with Parkinson's may not even notice these changes as much as an outsider, such as a spouse or a son or a daughter. So I recommend taking a notebook to the doctor's office with you, writing down the things that you're noticing changes with, and then telling the doctor things like, I'm having some difficulty with finding a store that I usually go to, or with doing my taxes, with doing my finances, or sequencing through a recipe. Tell them the functional things that you're having difficulty with, so then they can refer you to the appropriate resources in your area, such as a speech-language pathologist to work on things like memory, problem solving, and cognitive changes.